A very refreshing good morning, students. Today we are going to start with the writing part, that is story writing. Before we start writing, let us talk about listening. When we talk about listening to stories, we remember the stories narrated by our grandma during the bedtime. A child loves to listen to the stories. Not only a child, but the people of different age group, they love to listen to the stories. We watch the movies, we watch the serials. Why so? Because some stories are interpreted in it. Isn't it? Yes. So everyone loves to listen to story. Now we are talking about writing a story. Isn't it interesting? So what is a story? A story is basically narrating of real or imaginary events. It is designed to entertain or send a message across. So whenever we are expressing our ideas in the form of writing, we are describing something, some imaginary events we are thinking about, and when we are putting them in the form of writing, that is story writing, right? So we have story writing can be written in 4 types. What are those? This is new to us. First is expository story. What is expository story? It is a story in which the main purpose of the author is to explain or inform the subject to the reader. Can we say these are the knowledgeable stories? Right. Second one is persuasive. Persuasive means when we persuade something. So basic motive behind these stories are, it states the opinion of the writer and influence the reader. That means when we want the readers to follow something, to follow certain things, then we use to write persuasive stories, right? Third one is narrative stories. What are narrative stories? The stories which are based on some facts or some fictions. They are termed as narrative stories. Then we have descriptive stories. What are descriptive stories? Descriptive stories are the stories which contain imagery or specific details. That means some images are given or some details are given, and when we are using those details to write a story, that is a descriptive story. For example, you can have a look at this picture. So looking at this picture, what type of story can you say it is? It contains the image, it contains some details. So this is descriptive story. You can describe about something. Now we have learned various types of stories. The next step is how to write an effective and interesting story. Firstly, to write a story, there is no specified format. But to start writing an effective and interesting story, firstly, there should be a beginning. First step is beginning. That means introduction. Introduction should be such that it should catch the interest of the readers. The reader is very much interested to read that story. So introduction should need to be very interesting. You can begin like that: a long time ago, or once there lived, once upon a time. So it can be different ways. Clear? Secondly, then you will introduce characters. Introduce characters means you will talk about who all characters are there. Okay, what is their role? What you can talk about, like a boy aged 15 who is tall. In this way you can talk about the characters. Then is plot or the description. So in this plot or description, what you will do, you will be describing the whole incident. You will be describing the story. Clear? Then next is climax or the conclusion. Conclusion means you must not leave your story as such, like you are describing and you finish writing. No, this is not acceptable. So in order to have your story and write your story in an effective way, what you require, always end your story in an interesting manner. Clear? Don't let it be in between. So you can end your story in an interesting manner. So following these points, you can write your story in an effective and an interesting story. Clear? So I would be providing you a question. Based on that, you have to write a story writing.